For Paranormal, PPF Investigations, and the Unseen Paranormal Podcast present the Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo, coming October 21st, 2023 to the Fairgrounds, Nashville, in Nashville, Tennessee, featuring over 80 vendors, paranormal teams, and historic locations, as well as a full schedule of speakers with topics including Bigfoot, the Bell Witch, paranormal investigations, and more. A majority of the proceeds will benefit a local historic location and a local charity. For more information and how to be a vendor, please visit tnhauntsandlegendsexpo.com. Tickets on sale soon.
Welcome everyone to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien from RKB Paranormal, and this week I have another local team with us. I have Get That Ghost Tennessee. Welcome to Life Beyond 6 Feet, guys.
Hey, folks. Hey.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, y'all are husband and wife, correct?
Yes.
As far as we know. That's what the ring says.
Right. So we got
Yeah.
Jason and Natalie from, like I said, y'all's name is Get That Ghost TN. Do you say TN or just Tennessee?
I say Tennessee. We just
Okay.
put TN for short because Tennessee's so long.
Right. I got you. So now, Jason, I'll kind of start with you because I've kind of seen where you've been into this thing for a very long time. So when did you actively begin investigating?
I think I was about 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Me and my buddies. Yeah, anything we could find, man. Like back then, I mean, it's a long time ago. We had the VHS recorders.
Right.
Anything we could find. I mean, anything we could find, we wanted to investigate. I mean, it's just fun. I mean, we just started out kind of jokingly, and then over the years, like I said, I've been doing it for a very long time. I've never had a team. And one day, this one here was like, "Hey, you need to get a hobby." And I was like, "You really want to do this?"
Seriously, that's how it started. We were talking, and I said, "Dude, you need a hobby."
I told her.
I was like, "You have got way too much energy to not have a hobby. You need a hobby."
So
that was 4 months ago.
that's how Get That Ghost was born. But my goal, I've been doing it for all these years, and I've always just been kind of focused on just learning and reading and studying. And what really got me into it was a lady. She's an author named Catherine Ramsland, and I've actually talked to her, which is really cool. But she has a book called Ghosts, and my favorite section, the New Age section, when I was a kid, of course, at Books A Million. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go over here and see what I can find.
Right.
Well, her book grabbed my attention, and she documents paranormal cases. Like, she's got all kinds of crazy different stuff that she does, but she documents paranormal cases. So I bought that book, and I was like, oh, man. I was like, this is so cool. She's been to all these places. She has all these different methods. And I was like, man, I need to learn this stuff, and I need to just go with it. So, over the years, like I said, I've kind of focused on myself and just taught myself and learned. And then one day I was like, hey, let's get a team together.
Right.
So it's expanding. I started off as just paranormal. It's crazy. But we're kind of expanding out now. So
Right. And see, that's kind of how I started. I didn't start quite that young. We growing up as teenagers, we would pretty much break into any abandoned house we thought might be haunted and check out any cemetery we could get into. And we had the old VHS video cameras and stuff too. So Natalie, did you kind of grow up with this thing like he did, or did you just kind of get involved when you started dating Jason?
Total opposite.
What's that?
Total opposite.
Okay.
I grew up in church. Ghosts were taboo.
Right.
We didn't talk about the paranormal. You just didn't. Grew up in the Bible Belt, the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Right.
And now I had experiences at a young age that left me unsettled as far as knowing there was something else out there, but not knowing what. But I was in the position I was in, I couldn't explore that.
Right.
So I kind of put all that on the back burner in a box, put it into the rock, and said, I'm crazy. That just needs to stay over there. Well, then here comes Jason, and we had a couple of experiences.
before we even thought about
before the team ever became an idea.
Like 2013.
Yeah, we had a couple of experiences together, and that was enough for me to go, okay, this may be worth went out and digging into. And sure enough, then a couple months ago, we were sitting there having a conversation, and I said, hobby. And
I trained her.
Here I am with a hobby.
She jumped in, and I started training.
But I mean, there's equipment that he uses, which he's got more experience as far as watching shows. And, like, I personally, I sit down to watch a paranormal show, I'm going to sit there and pick it apart the entire time. I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to enjoy it because I'm going to sit there and figure out what all they did wrong.
That's what I do.
Right.
So,
The drama purposes.
Right.
It's for me to watch them. So he watched them. He has more background with the equipment. Dowsing rods are my thing. And then I also dabble in the White Witch world.
Right.
So I do the closing of the portals and the house blessings and the herbs. That's my side. And the dowsing rods.
I got you.
And then everything else is his. And then I'm his second. So when he gets in a position where he needs, someone to back him up, that's what I do.
Right. And I find that interesting. Damn near every guest I've had on this show, almost every single one of them, they said they were interested in it kind of as a kid, but they grew up in a religious family and you weren't allowed to talk about it. And it's like, I just find it interesting that all these religious homes growing up with these people, like you couldn't talk about it. And now it's like stuff that they all do. It's just like, I don't know. It's like one of those.
Well, that's part of what.
It's kind of one of those things. Don't do it. You tell a kid not to do it, and they're going to eventually do it anyway. So.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
So
our goal as a team is to educate and to document.
Right.
With my focus being more on education and his focus being more on documentation.
Right.
So, like, my mother and I got into a conversation yesterday where she does not like what we do, and so she wants to approach it from a pick it apart aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to respond with a educational aspect, and
Right.
that's kind of how I handle it. The Bible Belt doesn't really want to dabble in or learn that part because that's a gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And your hardcore Bible Belt people prefer the black and the white.
Right.
Because gray area means you have to think for yourself, and that's a very difficult thing for them to do.
Right. Like I understand like them like not wanting to bring it up or talk about it, but I could understand it more if like people were going about it the wrong way and doing stuff they really shouldn't be doing. If you're doing it the right way, I've never seen the issue with it. But everybody has their opinions, and you can't judge people based on that. So now, before you actually started your team, Jason, did you actually go on a lot of investigations, just like kind of with yourself and your friends as you got older, and you just kind of do more research about stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I did here and there. Like, I wasn't like as deep as I am now. I mean, I would do investigations here and there, and growing up and becoming an adult, you don't have time for much of that stuff anymore.
Right.
But like I stay in tune with the TV shows, and it's not because they're 90% fake. I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
people say; they're 90% fake. But I can say this: like when I first really started getting into it and wanted to learn the equipment and things, like Ghost Hunters was actually the first show I really remember getting into, and that's how I taught. Like that's how I learned a lot of the equipment. I mean, I think most of the stuff is fake. I mean, some of it might not be, but they do train you on the equipment.
Right.
So I just jumped in head first, and I was like, you know what? Let's just see what these guys' methods are and learn it on the outside, and then just kind of go from there. So, I kind of self-taught by reading and watching shows and other people, other teams.
I think it's always kind of been a dream of his to have a team and to be able to investigate regularly.
See,
Right.
And it wasn't practical before now, but now we're in a position where
I got into it now to help people. Like I don't know. I have a passion for helping people,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a passion for the paranormal. So I was like, you know what? We're going to be one of those teams that go in that offer home things.
Right.
We're going to go do the home investigations. We're going to be in this for the real reason, not for the fame. I don't want if the fame comes, it does, but we're not in it for that. Like,
Right.
I want to go, like we've had several home investigations where people have, even nationwide, I've had people contact me to come out, and,
Right.
luckily we find other teams to help them. But that's my main thing. Like, that's why I really got into it and really started pushing. Like, we do have our fun, like Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, stuff like that. But my goal is to help those that really need help. I mean, and we've been to some cases that, they needed help.
Right. And, we'll touch on those home investigations here in a minute, but I still got a couple more questions I want to touch on before we get to that.
Yeah.
So you said you officially formed your team just a few months ago. Now, was the idea behind the team been there for a while, or did it just kind of come up one day and then you just said, okay, I'm going to start a team?
Literally, you need a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, I never actually thought about, like, I was like, I don't know. I've always wanted a team. I see these shows. I said, it'd be cool to have some people to go out and do this with.
Right.
And I can learn different methods. We can teach them, but it just kind of happened. Like, it's the people fell into place. I still, to this day, have no idea. Like, we have a medium on our team. We have a tour guide. I've got a case manager, audio. I have the full team. It just, like, kind of fell into place. It's wild.
Right.
I still don't know where the medium came from. So she's amazing, but I still don't know how it fell into place. It just happened. And I know a lot of people say that because of the religious aspect that, I think God is the reason that this is happening, because I like, a lot of people say that they're going into this crap and, they don't give a shit. They literally, they just want drama. I mean, that's all it is. So, but everything's fallen into place with me because I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
I feel like the teams are doing the right thing. So everything's falling into place.
The only thing that we want to be a household name, but the household name that comes and helps you.
Yeah. I don't want to be.
When you hear stuff in the night,
Right.
We want people to say, hey, have you called Get That Ghost? They can probably come help. And that's all we want. We're not looking for national fame. We're not looking for, if we get people out of state, we find them another team closer because, we don't charge for it. So anywhere we travel is on our dime.
Right.
So outside of the state, for the most part, we try to find a local team that can come in and help you and do what we would do.
Right. And that's the right way to go about it. There's so many quote unquote teams out there that are in it just to get famous and to get clicks and likes and all this other jazz. And that's the mindset me and my team went in with. We'll put this stuff out there. If people watch it, cool. If they don't, cool. It's still out there. And
Exactly.
And, I'll promote the team and stuff, but it's also to a point where I want people to see what we capture and to prove to people, hey, this stuff does exist. Not all this stuff is faked. Yep. And, we've captured some pretty wild shit. And it's just like, how can you explain this when I'm showing you? So that's, a big reason why we like to do it, other than, we just absolutely love it. But now, how did you come up with this name? It's like, it's a totally different name because, most teams, will either have paranormal in their name or they'll have investigation in their name, and yours is simply Get That Ghost. Like, it's totally different.
I'm going to show you the reason. So we have a little dog that we're going to go get. He's 10 pounds and he might go off. We might have to calm him down, but I'm going to show you. So his name's Clyde. So what I do to Clyde is I go, get that dog. Get that dog. So he gets pissed off. Well, one day I was trying to think of a name, and I was like, what would be a cool name, like, to just something cool? And I looked at him, and I was like, Get That Ghost. So it just stuck, man. And I was like, you know what? Let's just do this. And let's just do Get That Ghost to the Sea. So it just stuck from him, and then we just kind of went from there. No, it's cool. I didn't say it again. I'm clean down. You be good, boy.
I'm going to put it back in bed, but this is really
That's where it came from.
That's awesome. You have a really good story behind your name then, and you have your dog Clyde to thank for it. So.
Right.
So how many team members do you guys have?
Right now I have 5. No. Alex, Melinda, Kara, Brian. Yeah, 6. Sorry. we've had some that we've had to let loose for other reasons, but we at one time I think we had like 9, but the smaller the better in these situations, because you have a lot of folks that bump heads, that want to bump heads, and that ain't gonna happen. So, but right now we have 6.
Now, how did you get your team put together? Was it people you already knew, or did you just kind of put a post out there and just people started responding? Like, how did the team form?
Brian, my AV guy, he's the one that's been doing it with me since I was 12. He lived, I mean, not even a football field from my house, so we grew up together.
Right.
Well, me and him was the ones, and his cousin, we were the ones that just went out and kind of just did our thing. We just thought it was fun. Just, hey, let's do it.
Right.
But he came along with me, and then I literally, all I did was make a page. I was like, let's just make a Facebook page, and I'm just going to go with it. Well, people started following out of nowhere, so I was like, you know what? This is going to be big. You know, I can have help. So I posted for team members. They came out of the woodwork.
Right.
You know, they go ahead.
No, I was just saying.
I thought you said something. Yeah, they like I have like my case manager Alice. She's in Chattanooga. I mean, from us that well, you know, well, you're in Tennessee, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chattanooga, she's in Chattanooga. That's my case manager.
Oh wow.
And then and then Kara, she just kind of fell into place. She's actually a tour guide for the Bell Witch.
Oh, nice.
So that's her job. Yeah. So that's what she does as a job. And I didn't even know until after she joined the team.
Oh, wow.
Providing some valuable historical background in the area.
Yeah. So we've had some cool stuff with that. But, and then Melinda, she's our medium. She knows a lot of groups. Melinda Williams, do you know her? She's been around for a long time.
I may have.
She's our medium. She fell in. I still don't know how.
She's definitely.
I still don't know how she. But I still have no idea how I got in contact with her. I think it just kind of fell into place.
Right.
So,
and you know, sometimes that's kind of the best way to go about starting a team instead of starting it with people you know, because a lot of people want to do this, but they don't know how to go about doing it themselves. And then I've seen several posts in these different groups saying that, you know, hey, I'm looking for a team to join. Is anybody accepting new members? And so, you know, that and the paranormal is kind of a hot commodity right now. Like everybody's interested in it and they're wanting to be involved in some kind of way, whether it's the right reasons or the wrong reasons, but they're still wanting to be involved. So since you guys have officially formed, has there been any places like other than home investigations that you've investigated as a team?
Yeah, I mean, we've done the historic Springfield Square, which is in Springfield, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We've investigated there. We're working on the museum. They're going to let us in the museum. I've made a pretty big name. I'll tell you about it later, like when we have like free time. But we've made a pretty big name for ourselves. But we've been. I've actually. Can I tell him about Greenbrier?
I mean, I would just say our local city.
Our local. Well, he already knows now. Our local city hall and local fire department. We got to investigate. The mayor gave us permission. They're working on. Yeah, that was wild. They're working on getting us into either two high schools and a elementary school.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we went to what was it, 3 Fridays ago? We went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Nice.
Which was, yes, that's phenomenal. That's a couple of videos. Well, actually, one of my main videos. I have one that I have to get, but I'm working with my AV guy to get him to hurry up and give it to me. But there's one on my TikTok that, I mean, it was just phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I won't get onto that. But where else did we investigate? But we've done 3 home investigations.
We got to do the genealogy room at our local library.
We got to go to our local library and investigate. We haven't seen. That's the thing. Like all these people are talking about, like Octagon Hall and you know, Loach House, but we didn't get in it for that. Like I have a bunch of people like, hey, do you know this guy? He's going to be at this Paracon. You know, I don't know these people. I didn't get into it for that. You know, and everybody's looking at me like, how do you not know who that is? I'm like, I just don't.
Right.
You know, I don't sit and watch TV like that. I'm out there in the field.
Right.
So, but I don't know. Weird.
Now, when y'all did Old South, was that like a private investigation you guys did, or was it one of the public events they do?
Nope, we went in private. I took me and the team in, and we actually, real quick story. A lady named Denise contacted me. I think she's in Iowa. Yeah, she lives in Iowa. She contacted me out of nowhere. Her sister lives in Jolton, which is about 20 minutes from us.
Mm-hmm.
From Iowa, she messaged me and she said, I want you to set up a surprise birthday party. She doesn't know me. I want you to set up a surprise birthday party for my sister that lives there. So I'm like, excuse me? She's like, I want you to set up a birthday party. And I was like, okay. And she said, I want you to pick the place. And I was like, you really? So I was like, okay, well, I want to go to Old South Pittsburgh. She's like, let's do it. I'll send you half the money. Go ahead and do this and this, and we'll go. So my team and those two went with us. So it was amazing. That place is, you're talking about just wild. I mean, the whole place. Have you ever been there?
We went once, but we went during one of their public things, and there's just so many people during a public investigation. We didn't really get to do anything, and so when we go out and investigate, we stay away from the public events. So
yes, that's what we do. I want hands-on by ourselves. We had that whole hospital, and there was 8 of us.
Right.
So, and it was, and you're talking about dark. Like,
yeah.
You go to dark places, but I mean, this is like, I'm one of those people too, I'm one of those people too that if it's pitch black and nobody wants to go in, I'm like, shut the door and leave.
Right.
You come back and get me after,
Right.
So, but yeah, Old South, it's definitely worth the experience. Like if you can go, it's definitely worth the experience. And the first time that I ever got touched, you can actually see the video on Facebook and TikTok, but we found this mausoleum in Nashville at a cemetery that we didn't know existed. Well, it's 4 stories tall and it's shaped like a cross.
Oh, wow.
So it's where George Jones, Tammy Wynette, all of those are buried. There's a lot of celebrities buried there. But I sweet talked them into, I'm not going to say the cemetery and everything, but I sweet talked them into letting us go in, and we did an investigation. It was, nobody's ever investigated in there, and it was wild. Like I saw an apparition.
The energy was so strong.
It was wild. Wow. But anyway, that's another place. I was just mentioning another place that we've investigated.
Now you mentioned earlier.
I don't even know.
Now you mentioned earlier, you guys do home investigations. What is your approach behind that? Because when we first started our team, we got several messages from people saying, "Hey, can you come and investigate my house? I have all this stuff going on." But all the stuff they were telling us, I'm just like, we're not cut out for this. I'm like, because you're talking about having stuff flying across the room and all this other shit. And I'm like, you need to be calling a priest and an exorcist, not some upstart paranormal team. So how do you approach that? Right. Like, how do you go about that?
What?
Can I answer it?
Can you answer it? Yeah.
We get a lot of people that message.
I don't care.
We get a lot of people that message in, obviously.
From everywhere. I mean, I had to find somebody from West Virginia, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's crazy.
So our case manager typically starts the conversation, and she and Jason interview them through text message,
videos, FaceTime.
We ask them to send us all the evidence that you have collected, what your suspicions are, and then we'll ask certain questions: what's changed in the area? Have you gone through anything personally?
We do a deep dive,
and then we do a phone interview. And after that, if we're still convinced that it's not someone that's just playing around, then we'll move on to a video interview. And we'll have them show us the property, have them show us where the events are happening so that we can actually see, because like I said, this is on our dime.
Right.
So we want to see what you've got going on. And if they're hesitant to do that, then we're hesitant to say you really have problems, because if you're not going to show us what your problem is, then why would we come try to help you if you're not being forthright with us?
Right.
We have one actually coming up. We have one 2 weekends. We have 2 weekends from now that's actually coming up that we have to go to.
Maybe 3.
3 weekends, whatever. 3 weekends from now. We've got another home investigation this month.
Right.
After the video, and then researcher. I researched the property. I researched the area, the town.
It's a lot of depth. Like we go into a lot of depth.
In knowing the background of the area. We go into the background of the people. And then when we get there, we're still going to interview you on site. We're going to ask you a list of questions. We're going to have
paperwork, lots of paperwork. Because I'm a legit business. Like I have a business license. I mean, I'm insurance. I mean, we're a legit business. So when I go in these places, if something happens, they're going to sue me. They're not going to go after everybody else. So we make sure 100% that we're not going in. Our first one, we had a horrible situation, so we go in very, very different now.
We learned a lot of lessons from our first home investigation.
We thought it was Uncle Tom, and it was not Uncle Tom. What are you moving on?
It was not a whole town.
Anyway, we can't discuss that, but it was bad. We'll just say that much.
Now, have you had any people reach out to you that you were just like, you know what, that's above my pay grade. Let me refer you to a church or something like that.
Our first investigation, we should have said this is above our pay grade.
Yeah, the first one, it was way above our pay grade. We didn't know what we were walking into, and it almost took me down. It almost took two of the team members down.
Oh,
so,
man.
I mean, it's
when we get to the part you want to hear our story,
we can't tell them. We can't talk about
we
that.
can't talk about the location. We can talk about
That's
True.
and see, that's kind of why we've always been kind of hesitant about doing home investigations. For one, you don't really know what you're getting into because that they could be telling you all this stuff, but they may not be completely honest about everything, or
yeah.
Or you could run into a case where they're just completely full of it and they're just more or less making fun of everything. So it's just like, how we've always been up in the air about doing like privates. Like we've done a couple of people that we know, and but it's just one of those things where we go in there and we spend 6, 7, 8 hours investigating somebody's home and we capture absolutely nothing. Nothing happens the entire time. Then you have to sit down and tell these people, okay, well, we didn't capture anything. So then in my head, the people's going to think, okay, well, either I'm crazy or they just don't believe me. And so like, would you handle a situation like that?
We have paperwork up front. We make it very, very clear when we come to their home that there could be a possibility that we get nothing.
Right.
We can't legally come in and say your house is haunted. We can investigate it and say, hey, we believe that your house is haunted. But we tell people up front, we're like, hey, there's a possibility that we could not get anything. We're coming in on good faith on you have something and we're going to investigate. But like I said, it's a possibility that it might not even happen. So we just tell them up front. It's like fishing. I'm like, it's not, you see these shows, it's not 42 minutes. It's like 2-week episodes for 42 minutes. But we just tell people, we're like, it's like fishing. Sometimes we could come in and, they might not like us, so they don't do anything. And you could get another group come in and they wear them out. I said, it's just kind of a toss-up.
Right.
So that's how we go into it.
There you go. That's a good way to approach it. Because some people, that's all they know is these paranormal shows. So they're going in thinking, okay, I got this team coming in.
Ridiculous.
All this stuff's going to be, all this stuff's going to be happening. And then it's just crazy. So what's some of like the wildest stuff you guys have experienced, whether it's been at a home or just wherever?
Tell them about Windland. That's probably like our first one together.
Right after we got married, we were pretty much inseparable. We are best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes.
We've been together for 10 years. We were together for 8 years. We got divorced. 11 years this year. We've been together 8 years. We got divorced. We were apart for a year, realized this is dumb. Like, you're my best friend. Why are we not together? Got remarried.
Anyway, go back to the story.
We're best friends. We've always been
bunny trail like crazy.
Well, right after we got married, we decided to find a job where we could work together. So we found a job where we worked as a team.
As a joke, actually.
Yeah, it started as a joke, but it was
I didn't make that call.
We really would do it. Anyway, so we were closing down. Part of our duties as managers was to close down the building at the end of the
Wait, preface. We had 194 residents over 55, and we lived on site at this building with these residents.
Yeah.
Oof.
Go.
We're a single retirement community, independent living. But we go down to shut down the building, and we had a private dining room and a public dining room, and most residents ate in the public one. And there you had a special private dining room give you perks to offer. So one night we had a group in the private dining room, and so I told Jason, I said, hey, I'm going to go on downstairs before you do. I'm going to start cleaning up the private room, reset it for the next one. I'll see you down there. Going downstairs, I go in the private dining room, I shut the door, I'm in there working, and I'll let him pick up, and then I'll pick up here in a second.
So what we do when we come down, we lock up the kitchen. There's 2 doors to the kitchen. You can walk in one door and come out the other, but it's like a commercial kitchen. You have to picture it's like set up like an actual cafeteria, like, the food, the way they did everything. But anyway, so at night, serving line, yeah. So at night, I came down there. She was downstairs. She went a little bit earlier, and then I would follow her downstairs and lock up behind her. So anyway, So I go into the kitchen, open the door, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, I'll be right out." And she's like, "Okay." So, I just kept going, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to lock this door. We got to go out here. I'm going to lock this door." Nothing. I was like, "What in the world?" So I just stood there, and I was like, "Okay." So I came out the door, and I was like, maybe she walked out the other door. So I came out. Well, she's at the totally opposite end of the dining room coming in.
Of the dining room. I just walked out of the private dining room and was coming in the back door of the public dining room.
So somebody answered "Okay, baby" in that kitchen, and she was not in the kitchen.
White. I mean, he looked at me, and I went.
She wasn't in the kitchen.
Like he had seen a ghost. I mean, that's.
Heard it. Didn't see it. Heard it.
He was white as a sheet, and he goes, "You weren't in the kitchen." The whole time.
And I was like, "Well, there's somebody in there that calls me baby." So
we don't walk in there. We look around. We're thinking maybe one of our employees, hid in there, and they're playing a joke.
Nobody. And this is at like 9:30 at night. Nobody's around.
Nobody.
And it's in the basement, so we could hear the elevator.
And that particular building, because of its residents, all on passing on.
Yeah, probably about 30 people we saw that passed, and I had to go identify and call family. And
if we had been investigating back then, Lord.
Lord.
But that was one of the first, and then shortly after that, we had moved to a different facility, but we had a resident that we were close to hit by a car on New Year's.
Yeah.
And so we found out where he had been buried, and we wanted to go pay our respects. We found out about 6 weeks later, but we wanted to go pay our respects to his grave, and it was also at a very large cemetery that we had wanted to go to and visit.
Amazing cemetery.
We like to walk cemetery.
If you get here, I will take you. It's amazing. It's like, what is it, 700? No, 385 acres.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. Anyway.
We like to go to cemeteries and walk around and see flowers and look at headstones.
Your bunny trailer.
Yeah, that's just one of our things. So when we found out what cemetery this guy was buried in, we grabbed one of our buddies and said, "Hey, let's go, pay our respects." Well, he had just gotten his first SB7.
Yeah.
And so we're standing at the grave of someone we know, and he turns the SB7 on.
I'm like, let's just see what we can do.
No, I was still a skeptic, strong skeptic.
I wasn't.
And all of a sudden, through the SB7, I heard his name and my name in the voice of the person that was in the ground.
It was him.
And I looked at him and I was like, "Well, Paul's here."
And
so we said, "Paul, do you know what happened?" And he goes, "Bring."
You could hear the car. You could hear the car honk. Like you could hear he got hit by the car. You could hear the car honk on the SB7.
He got killed by a car while he was crossing the street on the parking on the corner and just.
He used to write me songs. Like he was, when I would come downstairs, he would always have a song. Like he didn't have a lot of friends, so I was a friend, and he wrote me songs. But anyway, so as we were listening to the SB7, I was like, "Well, I know you like to sing to me, Paul. Why don't you go ahead and sing me a song?" He starts singing. He started singing to me. I mean, it was wild. Like that's one of the first experiences that I've had that it was a full-fledged person I knew, intelligent. Like it was that experience. I mean, that was
probably
about it. Yeah.
We were like, there
it was
may be
wild.
something to this. Like that was our first
Man, it was him.
Maybe there might be something to this SB7 box. Like,
and the video's floating on YouTube somewhere, but I can't find it anymore.
No,
I have no idea where it went because it was years ago.
That's still pretty insane to experience that with somebody you actually knew. That's pretty amazing. Now, a few moments ago, you mentioned the Springfield Square. Now, Springfield for me is about 30 minutes, and you've started a little walking tour.
Oh, you only live 30 minutes from Springfield?
Yeah, I live in Ashland City.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're right down the road.
Yep. So you'd mentioned the Springfield Square. So you've started a little company called Insomnia Tours. So how did this come?
Insomnia Ghost Tours.
So how did this come about?
This is actually kind of crazy. So Springfield used to be like glorious. Like I started thinking about like the Scott County Jail, the old like courthouses, everywhere that you can go investigate, hospitals, and I'm like, I don't understand why nobody's done anything in Springfield, because Springfield in its glory day was bigger than anybody else. Basically in Middle Tennessee, really.
Well,
I mean, so I don't know. One day I just went down there and I was like, it would be really cool to investigate this or have something, because I've been on ghost tours and there's nothing around. So really what kind of got me thinking about it, Kara, the one that's the Bell Witch tour guide,
Mm-hmm.
she was like, she said, everybody asks, everybody that comes here, and there's thousands of people that come here, everybody asks, well, there's something else to do. Spooky. There's nothing. So I was like, I sat there and I started thinking, I was like, why do they not have a tour anywhere in Springfield? So 1796 is how long that Springfield's been there.
Right.
So, I just, we went up there one day on a Sunday, and I was walking around, and I was like, this would be kind of cool. Well, a person that I went to school with is the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, nice.
So she said, hey, what are you doing? I said, we're just walking around Springfield thinking about doing a tour or something. She goes, you find anything spooky? And I said, no, not yet. And she said, I've seen that you're starting to grow pretty quickly. And she said, I want to help you out if you want to do something. I was like, well, I'm thinking about a tour. But anyway, so from that point, I mean, she hooked me up with the tourism department in Springfield. I've had meetings with several influential people in the city council. I've had realtors helping me. Everybody in Springfield is backing me to do this. It was just out of the blue type thing. So I was like, you know what? They really like this.
Well, this is a way
and
to promote tourism, not only in Robertson County, but in
I want Springfield back on the map. It makes me sick. Like, this is totally separate, basically, from the paranormal team. It just makes me sick that Springfield's so old and so historic, and it's so beautiful, and there's so many things to do there, and the businesses since COVID are not doing well. So I just went in.
And back on the map. We want people to come look, come learn, come explore.
I want them to see Springfield
learn our history,
and the museum.
Right.
I mean, the museum's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then we've got a couple places. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, and so the insomnia name, we own a hearse.
Will you let him finish? Ask his
Jason
question.
owns a hearse. And so when we were talking about names for the hearse, we came up with the name Insomnia.
I named the hearse Insomnia.
Nice.
Originally, that was her name. She's got another name.
No, she doesn't.
Yes. that was where Insomnia Tours came up, because we were thinking, you're going to do it at nighttime.
Sleepless nights. I just said that. I was just like, ooh, Insomnia, sleepless nights.
So Insomnia is
so I just went with it.
Right. Now, so have you got to actually investigate some of the places that's on your walking tour? So
Yeah,
what's
it is active.
Is it really? Let's see. I know. Was it the ghost hunt weekends? I've done a couple events. I think at the courthouse or the museum.
Museum.
And I personally, I'd reached out to the museum a few months back to see if that was something they were going to eventually start allowing, because and the woman actually, whoever responded gave me their phone number, so like, give this person a call, and they were like, it's something that's on the table, but we haven't decided yet, and so maybe your ghost tour may eventually help some of these businesses kind of open their doors to allow that, to help them make extra money and stuff like that, and to bring more, people to Springfield, because
that's my main goal.
Because a lot of these places, they have this stuff happening, but they don't want that negative side to it. And I get it, but in a way, it's like, if you need money to help you keep your doors open, and you have a hot spot, get you somebody in there. Get you somebody in there that would be there on site, that doesn't mind doing this stuff. It makes some money, because I know a lot of these businesses in places, especially since COVID, have been struggling to stay open, and they're needing this extra money, and right there is a perfect way for them to do it. So maybe you guys can. I was going to say, maybe you guys can eventually get these people to open their doors for the paranormal.
Well, one of our goals is to, a lot of these places roll up carpets at 2 o'clock, and they're not open Sunday, Monday.
Because there's no people.
The Sunday, Monday part, but to roll up at 2 o'clock, if we're bringing a tour through, between 6 and 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., if you're wanting to keep your doors open or come back in and open later, we're going to push people to come in and shop in their shop while they're down there.
Right.
So we want to work with the local businesses, and we want to, if you tell us, if you're a restaurant down there, you tell us what your special is this week, we're going to work that into our tour.
Oh, we're becoming celebrities in Springfield.
We can work your special in our tour. We can push people in your direction. When they get done talking, they're going to be hungry. We can feed them to you if you keep doors open, and if you work with
The reason they haven't, I found out, is because they were not making money to hire anybody to keep them there past 2 o'clock. They're not making enough money to have employees.
that makes sense.
Right.
So that's the whole goal, is to have them running so they can have employees.
You'll see if
But
nothing else,
we,
they say they shut down at 2. They could go home for a few hours, come back when you guys start doing your tours.
Yeah.
And like you said,
7 o'clock. I'm like,
like you said, after walking around for 2 hours, a lot of those people are probably going to be hungry and don't want to drive, 30 minutes to wherever to get something to eat. So,
Yep.
it's a big opportunity for a lot of people there if the cards fall right.
And I've got, which this is going to be cool. I've actually got some bases in the works to bring folks in, like teams.
We found some hot
No,
spots.
we're not going to talk about them, but there are
hot spots that could potentially be accessible for teams.
You need to come over here and let me show you Springfield.
Right.
I have four locations that you never see on TV or anywhere. Like, these are totally different things that anybody else had.
Right.
And if these work out, man, if one of them works out, I'll have people flocking. I'll have people flocking from out of town because we've been in several of them to investigate. I mean, we did one yesterday. We went up there yesterday, and a guy showed us the basement. His basement's monstrous.
Wow.
But we decided to try Necrophonic, which is our favorite. I don't like SB7, but I guess we could discuss that. But we turned on Necrophonic, and we talked to a gentleman named Mike 3 times. And, we asked him how many people were standing there. There was 4 of us. And we said, well, how many people are non-living standing here? And they said 8. So we didn't go much further than that because I didn't want to freak the person out that owned the place.
Right.
But it's active. And then one more quick thing. We were taking a tour last Saturday. Last Saturday. Well, we were taking a tour. Well, there's a place that they showed us upstairs above this building that we want. It's 13,000 square feet.
Whew.
Up in the air. But anyway, yeah. So we're on the tour. Well, I was like, okay, I was telling people, I was like, this is a potential spot that we're going to bring people in. Well, we decided, I was like, well, come on up this way. Well, me and another person that was there, we started walking up the stairs. We got to the 4th stair, and we heard boom, boom, boom on the door. And then it shoved the door like it wanted out.
Wow.
And the tour heard it. The tour heard it. So everybody that was there, and they were like, who do you have in there? I said, I swear to you on the Bible, there ain't nobody in that building.
Wow.
And they were like, it's an abandoned area.
Wow.
So the tour got to hear it knock and shove the door like it was trying to get out. So they were like, oh, we're going to be back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now I know you're just getting this thing started, but say it ends up being as successful as it sounds like it's going to be. Do you have any potential plans to maybe add another city or another little small town down the road?
Right now, I'm focusing on Robertson County, which Robertson County is pretty big. We've got Adams and Springfield and Greenbrier and White House. I mean, I have plenty of places here now.
Right.
But, I mean, in the future, maybe. Nashville, like, they have a ghost tour,
right.
Which is, I'm not going to talk bad about it, but.
Come take ours. Don't spend the money on there.
Don't say they can watch this. But anyway, right now, my goal, like, I want to have 3 tours up and running. I already have one that I'm working on. Actually, I have 4 that I want up and running. I have a full-time historic tour for daytime done. It's 2 hours. I have that completely finished, and it's just the historical aspect, and we can get into the museum and everything then, but it's not paranormal. Right. Yeah, your kids and grandma.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I bought the hearse. It's going to be either a cemetery tour or like a Robertson County special places tour, like haunted houses or houses that have been there for centuries,
Right.
But my goal is to have a base and two or 3 tours and have people running them. So when people do call me in West Virginia, I'm like, hey guys, you run the tour. Let's hop in the van or plane or whatever. Let's go help them.
Right.
So that's my ultimate goal.
We're not opposed to opening chapters.
I actually had somebody approach me. Several.
Right now, we're just focusing on keeping all, and then we collab with other teams.
Yes.
But for now, the best thing for us is just to keep on.
I've had 5 different people from 5 different states ask me if I would be interested in opening a Get That Ghost, what their state is, like Alabama, like
Wow.
I had a guy in Wisconsin ask me, like, I'm like, you want to get that ghost to Wisconsin? And he's like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm like, you got to let me get going first.
Right.
You got to let me get established, get what I want to do, and then we'll think about it. But, you know,
Right.
I mean, I could see that in the future. And,
Right.
But the people that are on my teams and the people we expand to, they're going to be the same morals and the same things we do, or they're not going to exist.
Right.
So,
We would definitely want to interview anyone potentially wanting to.
no, I'd be traveling to bring these people in.
Well, we would
Right.
want them to have the same, you know, documentation
Morals.
and education goals, and not looking for the fame, looking
Nope.
to help.
And not as seen on TV. I have to make sure everybody knows that. I'm not Zach Bagan. As soon as I start the tour, I look at them. As soon as I start the tour, I tell them who I am. I tell them my history. And before I even start any kind of equipment, I'm like, okay, folks, before I even start this, I'm not Zach Bagans. I'm not Ghost Adventures. I'm not on TV. I'm not Ghost Hunters. I'm not any of those people.
Right.
So don't expect that. Which then they realize, oh my God, this stuff's real.
Right.
This stuff is really real.
On our,
Right.
one of our latest tours, we had a young lady that when
Oh,
we
the
got to
girl.
tour, she was not open.
She thought it was funny.
She was there to go and because they're my wife. And by the end of that tour,
She's coming back.
she was beyond convinced. She's got some natural skill going on with dowsing rods. I let her experiment with mine, and she's got some natural skill, and so we talked about that and how to, you know, protect herself. That's, you know, education. So before, you know, I advised on the dowsing rods, I'm, you know, making sure that she knows how to protect herself, making sure she knows what stones can ground her, and making sure that, you know, because now she's opened herself up to this, she knows what potentially could happen when she gets home. You may start hearing more things. You may experience more things because now you're aware and you're focusing and, you know, you'll recognize those signs.
Anyway,
But before she left, you know, we had that conversation simply because you walk in to get study, you walk out knowing it's real. I don't want you leaving until you know how to take care of yourself because you know this is real now.
Right.
and what grabs people the biggest is they've seen it on TV, but they've never used the equipment. They've
Right.
never experienced a voice in full life. You know, they've never done an Estes method.
Right.
You know, they don't know. They're like, whoa, you know, and they realize it's real. Seeing their faces when something comes through is just golden because it's their first experience. So I get to experience that as well.
That's awesome. Now, I know you said you guys don't really like to do a lot of the big commercial places, and you're more of a private residence type place. But I know you got to have at least a few bucket list places you guys eventually want to tackle. So what's some of those places?
You mean as like Old South type places, like the fun places?
Yeah, like the pay to play places.
What's your bucket list?
Waverly, if I pulled into Waverly Sanatorium, which there's a couple of folks that we know now, but if I pulled into there, I would cry like a baby. That's been my biggest bucket list of all time. They're in the Stanley Hotel. That's my two biggest bucket lists. But you know, like we're gonna do like Octagon and the Loach House and the jail, and then we've actually got set up for the fourth for the what is that one? It's Franklin, Kentucky. The jail in Franklin, Kentucky. I'm not sure what it's
the Old Stone Jail.
Old jail.
The
Old Stone Jail.
Yeah.
We got that coming up May 4th, and we actually have a thing next weekend that we're helping Black Wolf do. It's we're helping them do that, but they actually we're going to be helping them on a tour, so we've actually got that next weekend. So
nice. Waverly Hills. Whenever you get to go there, man. I've been lucky enough to go 3 times, and I did legit cry when I first walked in. But it was for a whole nother. I cried for a whole nother reason. The name of my team is RKB Paranormal, and growing up, you know, one of my best friends, he was the one that got me into this stuff, and he actually introduced me to Waverly Hills. And he was an officer, and he was shot and killed in the line of duty, and so that automatically jumped to the top of my everything bucket list to make it to that building one day. And so when I actually walked in for the very first time, like I just broke down. And I've been 3 times, and I experienced different stuff every single time. And it's just so, and when I went, it was during the public things, but it's so massive. It's almost like you're there by yourself.
Oh yeah. It's huge.
It's amazing. And, you know, you mentioned the Old Stone Jail, you know, that we was there again just about a month ago and had a couple of crazy things happen upstairs in the cells. Like we we were doing an Estes session, and our SB7 was dead. So we, the guy that was under was using Necrophonic, and we're standing right out. He's inside one of the cells. He's handcuffed. He's shackled. He's blindfolded. So, we're asking questions and stuff, and just out of nowhere, this clip of a song starts playing. Like, where the fuck did that come from? The spirit box is dead, and so we didn't know where it came from. And then he pulled himself out, and we're sitting there talking about the song, and all of a sudden you start hearing the static play through on the spirit box going. I'm like, what the hell? So I'll pull it out of my
bed.
I'll pull it out of my pocket, and you can see it. Like, none of the lights are lit up, none of the numbers are on the screen. Like, it's not working. Like, we had to physically pull the batteries out to get it to stop. And after the fact, we were just sitting there listening, watching everything, and the clip of the song, it's some country song, and it says "Just Swingin'," and right before,
just a swingin',
right before that, Josh had came through and he said, boys, just a swingin'. And so my wife was like, what if they're referring to somebody that was in here that got hung or lynched at some point? And it was just really, it was just really weird. It's like, and I've got those small little clips on all of our social media, and it was an intense investigation that night. But yeah, I think you'll have a fun time there. If you ever go to historic Scott County, you'll love it there. Octagon Hall, that place is a beast of a building too. So,
I took a tour, but I didn't investigate.
It's different once it gets dark. So
yeah, I'm sure.
We've heard some pretty crazy things can happen up in there and in the fields behind it.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. So do you guys eventually plan on attending any kind of conventions or anything down the road?
Mm-hmm. We have the East Tennessee Paracon, was it 26th? The 28th. Yeah, 28th through the 30th. Whatever. Anyway, I think it's April 28th. We have the East Tennessee Paracon. We have a table there that we're going to go there. Other than that, not really. We just enjoy doing podcasts. This is our fourth. I think it's our fourth. I don't know. We just enjoy doing podcasts.
Well, I think I may have reached out to you about the one in October, the Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo in Nashville.
Yeah.
That's their second one they're doing, and last year was a blast, and this year they've expanded it and everything. So maybe another one for you guys to look into to kind of get your name out there for the tours and all that other stuff. So
for sure, yeah.
So if people want to follow along with you guys, what's your social media sites?
It's just the Facebook's Get That Ghost Tennessee. The Insomnia Tours, it's kind of weird. If you just type in Insomnia Tours in Google and put Springfield, it brings up our website, it brings up the domain, it brings up we're actually, man, today they actually put us on the Tennessee Vacation site. We are literally on, like, when you go to Tennessee Vacation and you put in Gatlinburg or anything like that, we are on official Tennessee Vacation site.
If you search Ghost, we're the third one down.
It's so cool, man. Like, if you go to the Tennessee Vacation and just type in Springfield, we're the third one down. I was like, dude, yes. Like, that's, for me, that's big time. It's on an actual site.
And we found ourselves on YouTube.
Yeah, that was cool.
So we don't search ourselves on our YouTube. So one of our nightly routines is to just go to YouTube and we scroll and we watch it on our TV or whatever. And we were sitting there one night and I was rolling down and I saw one of those, blah, blah, blah users also watch. Well, sure enough, our video over. There we were. And I was like, hey, look, where's an algorithm out there? And he was like, oh my God, we are. We were like, we've made it to an algorithm. So yeah, that was a pretty big moment. And then we also have our TikTok.
Yeah.
Get That Ghost TN1.
Yep. And then I don't know, our YouTube. We just got started up on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll link on YouTube.
It's on our Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on that one. We just got started. Yeah. Our kids don't have Facebook because they're too young. Well, Brody's not too young, but he doesn't have it yet. So we want them to be able to watch us live on TikTok because they don't have Facebook.
Right.
So
we're pushing. So we need everybody.
I don't know how many.
On TikTok.
I mean, we're close.
We're like 200 shy of the 1,000.
Not even that much.
So go follow our
976.
Yeah, we're
You're almost there. So, all right. Well, this was a really fun interview. You guys have been super successful in just a few short months, and I think it's awesome what you're doing up here in Springfield. And I'll have to come out there, even if I don't do the ghost tour. I need to come out there and hang with you for a few minutes and check it out. So, so everybody, this is Jason and Natalie. What's that?
Take one of our Saturday evening ghost tours with us.
Yeah.
We'll show you the good spot.
All right, guys. This is Jason and Natalie from Get That Ghost Tennessee. I want to thank them for joining the show today. So thank you, guys, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.